welcome to Macro Magic. And today I have with me Mary McCabe. We are talking about the holidays and specifically how to make pies and all your wonderful desserts in a healthy way with no sugar, no dairy, and no chemicals, of course. So welcome, Mary. So nice
Hi.
to have you on the show.
Yes, I'm very happy to be here, and I'm with Mary's restaurant. No, not restaurant anymore. Mary's Veggie Cooking.
I'm so happy to have you. In many of my classes, students are asking questions about how do I make a good pie crust, especially with healthy ingredients, because oftentimes they get too hard, like cardboard, because we're not using butter, we're not using eggs. Oftentimes we use olive oil, for the fats, and whole wheat pastry flour. And I think that there's, you have to develop a certain technique with this. Otherwise you end up, it's not satisfying as a pie.
Yeah, it's a lot of trial and error, plenty of error, but there's a great pie crust. There is called a pressed pie crust. And what it is you're going to use a combination of nuts and some flours, and it's whatever you want, but this would be the dry mix, and then you add at the end your little bit of oil and mix it up, and then I put a little maple syrup and a little apple juice to make sure it's chilled, just like you would your iced water. And then you make this pressed crust, which we'll demonstrate real quick. And I usually like to use these types of silicone baking sheets, because that way they go right into the oven flat, and it makes it so much easier to work with. So today we have oat flour, and I'll just use that to roll this out. You don't want to add too much, but just enough so that it will roll out.
So do you buy your oat flour, or do you grind
You can do
your oats?
both. You can. It's up to you. I mean, some people just can't, but here's an oat flour that you can buy, and it's very like white flour. And then there's another, don't fall down. We have almond flour, and we also have a little more of a thicker almond flour. This is the more whitish flour, and here's more of a crunchier flour.
Now, I've used this crunchy almond flour in cookies, and it's really nice because it gives more texture and more taste.
Yeah, well,
So you use that in your pie crust as well.
you can use this and this. There's two different grades. It looks like they've ground it, first, but you can do it yourself if you want it to be fresh, and
So
especially
one's with
organic.
the skins on, and one's with the skins
I
off
think off, yes.
for the almond flour.
So, but I got myself a little grinder, and it's designated only for my cooking, like my baked goods, or not even my herbs. So you have a designated one if you want coffee, and then one for herbs and dried, whatever you have, and then the ones for baked goods, because it's like your nuts and your flours. And so you can take whole oats, put it in there, and it'll grind it up all by itself.
Gosh.
So that way you have more of a flaky oat crust. So you roll this out somewhat as best you can.
Kids
and then
love doing
oh yeah, this is
these
finger
tiny little
you
pie pans. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so you can take this and just press it in here, and that's why they call it a pressed crust. And
So
it's
you have oat flour,
I use oat,
almond flour,
right?
and oil, and a little maple syrup and apple juice.
Yeah, you mix up your nuts, and this is pecans. This is a pecan crust, but you can use walnuts or almonds. You can mix them. Depends on what you want. This is very versatile, but it's really easy to do, and it tastes great. And it's just a great versatile pie crust. And if you don't want to use a lot of oil, you can just be careful and work with it. If you have it too moist, though, then it starts to get sticky, so you have to be careful. And this way, it's making a nice flaky crust, because you're not working with the dough like, if you work with doughs, they get real hard, and that's what makes it not as edible.
So if you overwork the dough,
if you overwork,
the gluten comes out, right?
So you get the idea. So this one is not baked yet, and then you want to bake it at 315 degrees.
315.
Yep, 315 for about 20 minutes, and that works perfectly. And then you bring it out. So let's just get these out of the way. And
So 315, not 325 or 315?
No, 315, because boy, I messed up. I put it a little higher, and it just cooked so fast, and it was ruined. So this one is already baked. This one was not baked, and There you go. So now what we do is
So
we're going
if
to,
you're gonna bake this ahead of time, can you put it back in the oven with the filling, or are you done baking it?
I'm done. I mean, you could probably do it, but you could put little tin foil so it doesn't get overcooked and maybe moisten it a little bit if you want. But I did this ahead, so we had it. And so then this is a squash filling, and this was already cooked, and I used agar to make it thicker, and some almond milk, and some sweetener, and so it's a very simple.
Now, do you use canned pumpkin for this?
I
or is
found
it fried?
this was fresh pumpkin, but
Oh, wow.
but you can use a 15-ounce can they make of organic pumpkin, and it always comes out this time of year, and that works really beautifully. Now, I'm not sure if this is going to spread around, but you'll get the idea.
Beautiful filling, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And
gosh.
you know, you want to put all your seasonings, you know, your cloves and cinnamon and nutmeg.
I
and
used to tell my students you can buy those pumpkin pie spices,
yeah,
where all the ingredients
it's
are
all
already
made
in
for
the
you,
little
yeah.
spice
So you just spread it around, and now I think this is going to be a little shy, but it's still, you get the idea. And we're going to put a little bit of pumpkins on top and some pomegranates. You know, that's part of the pumpkin.
Oh.
Yeah, it just comes out.
So we can put apples in here.
You could put apples on the
blueberries.
bottom. I've seen, you know, historically, that's what they used to do. They used to put apples on the bottom and then bake it together, and then it would be a. So we're going to do a little decoration, and we can use pumpkin seeds, so you know it's a pumpkin pie.
Oh, nice.
You know, and we can put them around, make them like a little decoration, and maybe put, you know, try to make it more like a green leaf.
Pumpkin pies are so wonderful during Thanksgiving.
Oh, they're
and the
so warming.
holidays.
Yeah,
They're
they
very-
really are.
Especially when you do natural pumpkin, because either cook fresh pumpkin or use the pumpkin pie in a can without the BPAs.
There, so you can have a pumpkin pie, and you get the idea.
Very
But you get a little careful. You can make sure the points look like a poinsettia, like we have there.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. So that's our squash pumpkin pie with a pressed crust, pecan pressed crust. It's really yummy.
Nice,
Yummy.
beautiful.
So now I want to show you real quick how to do. We'll get rid of that pomegranate, and I have to thank Jack Pepin for this way of doing it, because he really had the best thing. So first you take a bowl of water, and what he did is takes a fork to open it up and something hard, and you whack it. And you have to whack it so that you whack it real hard, and the pumpkin seeds
my
pop right into the bottle.
The pomegranate seeds.
Pomegranate, I mean, I just had pumpkin seeds on my mind. And so you just bang it hard,
my
and they
gosh.
pop into here, and then you can separate them real easily from that little white stuff.
I would like sit there and scrape it and then get
It's a
all
big
the white
mess,
stuff
yeah.
in it.
So you end up with beautiful pomegranates, and you can easily separate that white,
Nice.
the part of that flesh that comes,
And
see?
look how beautiful you can use these to decorate your pies.
Yeah, so that's really fun.
And these
there's-
are loaded with vitamin C.
Yeah, pomegranates are great. So that's a great way, and thank you, Jack Pepin, for that. I have to give that to him. So that's one thing we can do.
So in
And
case our audience doesn't know, the sweetener you used is brown rice syrup,
you
right?
can use this. This is a rice syrup, and also maple syrup, barley malt, whatever you like. And if you can't have sweeteners, if maybe somebody's diabetic, then you can use raisins and make a nice raisin thickened juice with water, or apple juice if you can. You have to be flexible, but there's lots of options. So now we make cranberry sauce for Thanksgiving.
Oh, how
And
beautiful.
so here's the cranberry sauce, and I just like to talk about cranberries, because these are the cranberries that were discarded because they were not right. And you can tell because they're soft, or they're obviously something's wrong with them. So out of the pound of fresh cranberries that I got, these were all bad. So you really have to, when you're washing them, you can't just say, oh, bag of cranberries and just now I'm going to cook them.
You have to
But
make
no,
sure.
now you have to kind of go through each one. And so I just handle each one, and you can see now, feel this one. This one's completely soft. So,
Oh, yeah.
so I thought that was a good thing to talk about, because a lot of people don't realize that the food that you're getting has, you know, it's normal. They can't be perfect. So that's that. And then this is a cranberry sauce, which I make every year at Thanksgiving. And the organic cranberries, which you can find. And so I cook them with apple juice and then a little bit of sweetener. And at the end, I add fresh orange juice. And I like to use a little agar in there. Agar, which is that sea gelatin, and then makes it nice and firm. And then I like to add cloves. But cloves, I notice, cloves make a really nice taste. You can taste it. And then I made these little Christmas trees from the agar.
They look like chocolate, actually.
Yeah, they're pomegranate. And pomegranate juice, concentrated. I tried to find something red, and so that's what they are.
So agar is a natural sea vegetable that is clear. We usually use it like in biology lab to make petri dishes.
Yeah, that's what they use.
Yeah, and it's full of protein, but it makes gelatin very easily. So the more flakes you use, the harder the gelatin. So she used less flakes for the pudding part, and then more flakes for the
and if you make it and you find, oh my gosh, this is too hard, then you can blend it with some juice in the blender and it'll be turned into a pudding. So, which we'll talk about later.
And this is so wonderful because a lot of canned cranberry sauces have high fructose corn syrup in them and sugar, and this is just made with maple syrup and
yeah, and you don't need much. I mean, they are tangy, but that's what's so beautiful. And people like it with the turkey. Well, we don't, but we make a seitan, and that's our vegetarian turkey, and it goes beautifully with that taste. And it's surprising how many people say, oh my goodness, that really does taste, like Thanksgiving, because they're all used to turkey.
Right.
And I haven't had turkey in, I think, 45 years, maybe, I don't know, pretty long time ago. And so anyway, every year I make it. My children like it. And my daughters all say, oh, would you make cranberries, silly? And then I have to bring the cranberries always because they like my cranberries.
That's beautiful, Mare.
Yeah.
Simply beautiful. So you have some other items that you've baked for us. Your cornbread.
Yeah, you want to talk about the cornbread? Sure. Oh, hang on, yeah. So here, let me quick get this. These are my Christmas presents this year, and Sherry got one. Oh. And this is my freshly ground cornmeal. And what I do is I get the whole corn. You can get it on Amazon, and they get it in 25 pounds.
Organic, right?
Yeah.
Not GMO.
Yeah. Well, I have to have it organic. But actually, I looked on the dirty list. Corn is not even on it. It's still on the clean list, which is surprising. I thought about it. But anyway, this is organic whole corn, and it comes in a big bag of 25 pounds is the smallest I can get. And so I have a grinder at home, and then I grind it all the time, and I send it to my sister because she loves it. And so this is my Christmas present.
And I know you make beautiful crepes out of it.
Yeah, you can make crepes, and we made waffles today too. And so this is the cornbread, and we can slice it up and taste it if you like, and then you could have it with the cranberry sauce.
Oh, very nice. Very
so that would be good.
So for the cornbread, what are the ingredients that you use in the cornbread?
Well,
look how beautiful that is.
Yeah, it's a cute little recipe. This is a cup of cornmeal, and then we put some pastry flour, a little bit of oil, and salt. And if you want it sweet, you can add a little sweetener. You don't have to. And then I use a little bit of apple juice and plant-based milk, like almond milk or.
So what makes it rise? Because
I did use baking powder here.
Baking powder.
Yeah.
Okay.
You only need 1 tablespoon, and this will make 2 or 3 loaves these size.
Oh,
and they're
so
really
cute.
Yeah, they're really nice. So it's good with the cranberry sauce. Yeah. Yeah.
And then this is just regular bread.
This is my whole wheat bread.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
and yeah. So this is a yeasted bread. It's very simple, and it does have yeast, but I used to be able to make, the sourdough, but somebody threw out my sourdough starter. So, and if you're using yeast in your kitchen, you can't use this starter because the yeast will kill it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you have to be very careful. So for right now, I have this yeasted bread, and it's just wonderful to have homemade bread.
And I love how you cook them in such small little loaves. It's so cute.
Well, it's easier because if you have a big loaf, then it's too much. Yeah.
And they make wonderful gifts for the holidays. Right?
Yeah, it makes it easy. Yeah.
So the cornbread is from the corn flour and the whole wheat pastry flour. The regular bread is just whole wheat pastry
There's
flour.
it's whole wheat that I freshly ground as well.
Oh.
And then some pastry flour too. Or you could use bread flour. Semolina makes nice, put a little bit of semolina flour in it, makes it good too.
How about some of the other flours like rice flour and garbanzo bean flour? How do you use those?
Well, the only thing I've done with the garbines is making hummus. But I think I bought some because you talked about it.
Yeah.
And I thought, I think I want to try that, but I haven't really experimented. But rice flour is a little, it has no gluten. So when you have no gluten in certain flours, it's just, you can use it to make a beautiful cereals and like a rice cream, or there's just so many things you can do with it, and add it to rice puddings. It just is, it's a nice thickener.
Okay.
Yeah.
So more of a thickener for the rice flour.
And it's a shame with people that are gluten-free and or like can't eat whole wheat. It's just such a shame because whole wheat is so ancient. It's one of the first grains. And in medieval times, they always called, everything was referred to as corn. That was the name of the grain because the grain is what changed man from being, it just made him completely change because they became into farming and agriculture. So it's a shame that people can't eat whole wheat, because when you think of thousands and thousands of years, people ate wheat, and that was the staff of life, bread. It was also used as money and salaries. So it's a shame because I think, and I'm not sure, but I think it's because it's all changed. They GMO'd it. They did something to it that made it totally altered it because it's not the same. But I think if you use whole grain, organic, and you know where you're getting it. So for me, it's really, I'm happy to have a grain grinder because now I know exactly when it was ground and it's fresh and it's organic. So I can really count on that.
These are so beautiful. Now we have also, is this amasaki?
Well, it looks like amasaki, but it's actually a lemon cream. And,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, and I marinated these strawberries, which when you marinate strawberries, they really come out beautiful. And this would go really, we'll talk about the waffle. Oh, okay.
So we're going to break, and when we come back, we're going to learn how Mary made her lemon cream, her waffles, and marinated her strawberries, and we're going to talk about other things that she is presently baking in the kitchen. Hi, I'm Sherry Damaris. Welcome back to Macro Magic. I'm here with Mary McCabe, and we're talking about healthy pies and beautiful treats for the holidays. We've made a pumpkin pie, and Mary showed us how to make a crust that's flaky using all natural ingredients, no sugar, no butter, and using whole wheat pastry flour. And we also talked about how to make a beautiful cranberry sauce and little decorations of Christmas trees around the cranberry sauce, and cornbread and yeasted whole wheat bread. So now you're going to talk a little bit about your pudding, but before we do, we have some photos of some of the beautiful dishes that you've created. The first photo, do you want to explain the first photo, Mary?
Yeah, it is a corn and mushroom cake, and it's made with the cornmeal, and then I cooked it with the shiitake mushrooms, and then I put it in a little mold and let it just set. And then the second one is it's like a melody of dessert with apples, and one of them cooked and one's with a little crumb topping. And then there's another one at the end which has a dried fruit mixture. So that's, and then we also have an apple galette, which is what we have here. Also, we served today, we showed that, and so that is baked in a pressed crust that is all done by itself, and then you bake it, and then you add your apples and turn them, and then it sets, and it's there you end up with an apple galette.
That's wonderful. And so we're on the fourth picture. Do you want to explain the fourth picture?
That's my whole wheat bread, which we have here, and the whole wheat bread is made with a little bit of yeast and freshly ground whole wheat flour that I did myself, and it becomes a very simple bread, which is yummy for an everyday delight. And
The fifth picture?
is an apple. We have an apple crumb tart and also my cornbread. So the apple tart is made with the pecan crust that we use today, that pressed pecan crust, and cooked apples with the crumb topping.
So if you want any of these recipes, you can visit Mary's website at marysveggiecooking.com. You'll see it on her t-shirt, on her
Yay,
baseball hat,
yeah.
and on the banner in the back of our
It's everywhere.
studio. So, Mary, do you want to explain to us this new beautiful dessert that you have?
Well, this is a lime chiffon, and it's getting a little soft, but this was made with the almond milk, and I used fresh lime juice and some agar that thickened it, a little maple syrup because it is tart, and it just let it cream up. You have to cook the apple juice with the agar and then let it solidify by itself. It's wonderful. And then I have a little lime zest that we can use, and so I got this lime zester.
They're always really fun to use, the zest.
Yeah, I mean, you can use the kind that make more shreds, little shreds, but this one is just, and then you can sprinkle it around, and then that makes it really pretty. And it's a little tart, too.
Beautiful topping.
Yeah, so
my
that's real
gosh.
pretty. Okay?
And then you have some waffles that you made out of your...
This is a mochi waffle, and mochi is a sweet rice that is cooked. I pressure cooked it, and I'm finding that it's 1 to 1. So I made 2 cups of soaked sweet rice, organic, and then 2 cups of water. Bring it to I first soak it, and then bring it to a pressure. I use a pressure cooker. You don't have to, but it does work better. And then cook it for about an hour after it comes to pressure. And then after it comes out, you got to open it right away, and then I pound it with a pounder, like a wooden pestle, and then you pound it and pound it. You need to pound it for about 20 minutes.
Yeah, your mochi is always really
So-
sticky.
So I made these little waffles, and they're little Christmas trees. Can you see it? You got a little tiny mini waffle thing, and it's a little iron, and it made little Christmas trees. They're so cute. You can't
Yes.
quite see it. Maybe you can.
They're
But
a wonderful brunch for Christmas Day.
yeah,
mochi
they are.
waffles.
You can make them savory, and then have something like a gravy of some sort, or mushroom sauce, or anything, onions, any kind of thing. But this makes a very nice waffle, and they're fun. Or you just put a little maple syrup on, or you can use your fresh strawberries here and just have a little syrup like that.
Oh,
So it'll be a fruit sauce with you can
Kids
make.
love these because it's whole grain. It's not flour. So it's actually more nutritious and, more fiber
Right, yeah.
in them.
So it's fun for Christmas, fun for breakfast, and for any time. And you could just have this as a snack. And it's so wholesome, it'll really hold you over. I find if I eat whole grain in the morning, I'm good for a while. It really, slow burning fuel, they call it. So this is the cornbread sliced, and we were going to try it with
Let's talk about the galat. I'm eyeing this thing over here. And
Oh,
it's
okay.
looking so gorgeous and
Yeah.
so professional.
So this is a galat, and what it is that you have an open pie shell. And so I use my little,
So this is the same pie crust recipe
3
as
minutes?
this? Or do you make
No,
it
this is a
different?
different pie crust. This is more of a standard one where you have your flour, and then you mix your oil in, and then you add your cold liquid, which is apple juice. But you work it very quickly.
But are
and-
the same ingredients? in
No,
each?
these have nuts and more of a wholesome thing. This is a little more of like a standard
flour?
white flour. And,
Okay.
yeah. So, and also what you can do here
You
is.
have your picture back up of the galette for people to see.
Yeah, you can see that. And then I cook the apples first a little bit, and then put them in with I use a little gelatin from the agar, or you could use kuzu or any kind of starch that you prefer, but I don't like cornstarch.
You'll see these sometimes in the grocery store, right? With kiwi fruit and sliced strawberries.
Oh,
on
yeah,
top
and they make a glaze, but they
Yeah.
probably use cornstarch.
and corn syrup.
Okay, and then this is a little mini one that if you have leftover dough, you just make a little mini one and put your chopped apples on top and your little sweetener, and there you go. And then we can serve.
You're making me hungry.
So we can serve the cranberry sauce on the cornbread.
Oh, nice.
And so there's so many things you can do. You know.
So, Mary, we're going to wrap up our show. How can people reach you? They want some recipes. They want to see your videos.
I have a website now. It's not quite published, but I'm working on it. So I'll be uploading all my recipes, and you can reach me at marysveggiecooking.com. Also at marysveggiecooking@gmail.com. And eventually it's going to be a different one, but right now it's still not.
And it's so wonderful.
Yeah.
I know from your 2 restaurants that you've owned and ran for all those years.
Yeah, we had Bridges Restaurant in Ocean City for about 7 years, right? And then for about 10 years, I was in Manayunk, Philadelphia area, and that was called Mary's Restaurant. And we were there for almost 10 years, yeah. It was very popular. We got Philadelphia Magazine Best of Philly.
I'm so happy you come on the show regularly. We had you down in Cape May making nabe, now for the holidays, making pies and breads and mochi waffles. So I hope you come back again.
I'll be happy to, yes. Well, we
Thanks
wish everyone.
for being on the show.
Yeah.
And happy holidays, everyone.
Yep, Merry Christmas.
And we'll see you on our next episode of Macro Magic.
Thank you.
We try to settle cases when we can, but we zealously advocate for our clients at trial as experienced and successful litigators. If you need help on any of these family life issues, please call us for an appointment at 215-542-2105 or check us out on our website